Our last speaker of the day is Sanho Tree, a fellow at IPS, the Institute for Policy Studies, and is the director of IPS's Drug Policy Project. Sanho is a former military and diplomatic historian and has collaborated in the past with Dr. Gary Aperovitz, the decision to use the atomic bomb and the architecture as an American myth. He was also an associate editor of Covert Action Quarterly and an award-winning magazine of inventive journalism. Please welcome Sanho.
Thank you. We're here on the 4th of July to commemorate the Declaration of Independence. So let's go back and look at that pesky second paragraph. The part where it says that government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed. That's the most central concept in that document. And yet, we cannot give our consent to secret wars, to secret laws, to secret programs, and secret committees of oversight. Now, our Sunday talk shows will say, and David Gregory and others will dutifully repeat, oh, we have a system of checks and balances. There are official channels people can go through to whistleblow. But the system is fundamentally broken. We now rely on Congress, the most dysfunctional of the three branches of government at this point, to provide our checks and balances against securocrats who have run amok. So Congress is paralyzed today in ways that are more profound than in the 40 years that I've lived in this city. That today, Congress is paralyzed by third-rail political issues and partisan politics. Now, for those of you who are outside the Beltway, you may not be familiar with the third rail. Third-rail politics refers to controversial subjects that have counterintuitive solutions that are political toxic issues. They're radioactive. It comes from the subway system. Two rails carry the train. Third one is high voltage. If you touch it, you're dead. So typical third rail issues are like the drug war, U.S. policy toward Israel, gun control, global warming, and especially national security. And these are issues where no member of Congress really wants to take a strong position other than to go with the flow, because if you do, you run the risk of being swift-voted, of being singled out and during your re-election campaign and being attacked for being soft on drugs, soft on not a friend of Israel, or soft on national security. And that has historically been the equivalent of garlic to vampires when it comes to Democrats. They crumble if you accuse them of being soft on national security. And so there is no one left to provide these checks and balances. Moreover, we have not only the congressional overseers, but their staffs are intimately connected with the defense industrial complex, the securocrats. It's those places where they'll go after they leave public service to really cash in on boards of directors, to become lobbyists, to be in acquisitions. That's where the real money comes from. They have no incentive to provide honest checks and balances. And those that do run the risk of being swift-voted. What the framers of the Constitution could not have imagined, could not anticipate, was how quickly our system of political campaigning has degenerated nowadays. Much faster than the ability of our political systems, institutions, to compensate for that degeneration. That is what's leading to this paralysis, and that is why correcting this issue becomes so difficult. The Prime Minister of Luxembourg was talking about a different third rail issue domestically at the time, but he had a very good quote. He said, look, we all know what needs to be done, we just don't know how to get re-elected after we've done it. That is the problem with so much of Washington today. So it is clear that our system of checks and balances is fundamentally broken, and the idea of going through official channels to whistleblow is a mockery. You've heard from Thomas Drake, you know about John Kiriakou and all these others. The war on whistleblowers makes this impossible. So what we have now is a perfect storm of forces. You have the third rail politics that paralyzes Congress and the executive branch. Then you have the powerful contractors and industries that are lobbying for ever more funds to do things that are unchecked and secret. And then you have the securocrats, the bureaucrats in this national security establishment who bristle at the thought of any type of oversight and accountability. So if we don't fight against this culture of secrecy, against this culture of national security, then the consent of the governed is meaningless. And if you can't give your consent, then eventually our public servants, those securocrats, eventually become our masters. Thank you.